Rage beats. Some love them, some hate them, some think they all sound the same, but the whole Rage underground sound is changing the game whether you like it or not. The overpowering synths used in these melodies, matched with boosted and clipping 808s, has done something to the music scene that hasn't really been done before. These type of beats have become popularized by artists like Yeet, Playboi Carti, Sofago, Trippie Redd, and others. Why and how have this type of beat become so popular so fast? And is this sound already starting to die? So, in order to understand why this sound has become so popular, I think it's important to understand the type of rap style that was popping in the underground beforehand. Now, before these crazy, overwhelming beats took over the scene, a similar style of rap was at the top of the underground: mumble rap. Artists like Lil Pump, Smokepurpp, Lil Uzi, and other artists of this caliber shined in the spotlight because of their swag and the vibe of their music, not as much because of what they were actually rapping about. Two songs that took over the underground around the peak of SoundCloud rap were Gucci Gang by Lil Pump, a song that blew up off of Lil Pump repeating the words Gucci Gang over and over again, and Audi by Smokepurpp, a track where he pretty much says a bunch of meaningless shit, including the hook which reads, "I don't want friends, I want Audis, smoking on booth and it's Maui." Long story short, your average SoundCloud listener in 2020 didn't really care too much about the messages behind the record and more about the catchy melodies and repetitive words and the beat. These values are similar to those that your average listener holds who enjoys rage beats. Back in 2020, the first signs of a new subgenre within the underground consisted of songs by artists like XXXTentacion, Ski Mask the Slump God, and Playboi Carti. Although these tracks weren't the synth-filled rage beats that you hear copy and pasted today, they were on the path to be such. What was similar about these beats was that they contained very repetitive and full melodies, matched with an insane amount of low end, and of course, a catchy hook that nobody really cared about what they were saying. When you think about rage beats, you undoubtedly think about Playboi Carti's legendary album, Whole Lotta Red. Alright, let's get into it. On Christmas Day of 2020, Playboi Carti dropped his insanely anticipated album, Whole Lotta Red. This album shocked many fans as it was different to his last pieces of work and very different than the music that they were used to listening to. This body of work was filled with rage beats and arguably started the whole wave of rage. If not started, just kind of pushed it along in a very significant way. Like, I don't know if y'all would be using Serum as much if it wasn't for Carti. It pushed along, if not started the wave, of heavy distortion, both in the beat and vocals, repetitive synth melodies, hard-hitting 808s, and meaningless lyrics that were matched with crazy ad-libs. After this album dropped, many other artists started to hop on this wave and use these type of beats. Some notable names are Trippie Redd, Destroy Lonely, Sofago, Yeet, Ken Carson, and a lot of others, to be honest. Everyone was kind of rocking with this new sound. It even turned into a lifestyle for many. This sound is undoubtedly a crazy innovation to the underground scene, but it is 2023, meaning over 3 years since Carti dropped Whole Lotta Red, so here's where my question comes into play. Are rage beats dying? I'm going to break this down into a couple of different reasons. My first argument is I feel like producers are just copying each other, man. Like, let's be real. In my opinion, rage beats are one of the easier type of beats to make. And when I say this, I mean like the basic ones. Like, I'm not referring to the new innovative ones. Those are still fire. You can find producers speed running rage beats on TikTok in under a minute. But I think what comes with a tight beat that's easier to make is obviously more producers doing it. All of our loop emails are just filled with Yeet and Ken Carson type loops, and you're lying if you disagree. And some of these are better than others, some usable and some aren't, but either way, it's just a lot of them. And I understand people are just trying to take advantage of this new wave that we're experiencing right now, but in my opinion, there isn't a lot of evolution and innovation happening within the sound, outside of obviously the ones who are. I literally think producers are just kind of copying each other and taking the easy route with both the melodies and drums. With the melodies, we're hearing ridiculously similar chord progressions in these synths. Your average rage melody is usually a repetitive synth pattern, some type of pad layered with the same chords, a catchy lead, maybe a second lead, a synth bass, and bam, now you have a rage loop. I'm just gonna say one word, and that one word is serum. Nowadays, I feel like all of these loops are being made with the same sound banks because they're just so accessible. Shout out to the ones that are at least trying to find new sounds and maybe using different plugins. One reason why I think this is happening is because of how full sounding the rage presets are. If you sit down to make a rage loop, on average, you'll find sounds in these serum banks, for example, that are very full, distorted, and have a lot going on, which means that you're more inclined to feel like you have to add less to it, making the process quicker and easier. The sounds that producers are using for these melodies are already pretty processed and don't require much manipulation or effects to make it sound cool. In my opinion, if you go about making a different type of loop, you might feel like you have to add more and more sounds and manipulate the process to create a full sounding melody. Whereas with a rage melody, you might only feel like you need a couple sounds, which, hey, is totally fine, and I'm a strong believer in not overcomplicating loops. But that's why I feel like it is on the easier side. I also feel like people are kind of getting tired of listening to rage beats. Not only artists and your average listener, but producers too. I mean, how many boosted Z808s can we put on a rage loop? It's kind of getting old. Damn, I sound like a hater right now. I'm not even trying to sound like a hater, but this is how I feel about the whole rage sound, as of right now at least. For me personally, every time I hear the start of a synth chord on a loop, I just click past it because I feel like I've heard it so many times already. Of course, there's still a market for these loops, but I think the popularity of it is on a decline due to our ears getting tired of it and producers just milking the sound to its core. Not only are producers using similar sounds, but artists are also using similar effects on their ad-libs and similar cadences when it comes to lead vocals, but that's a whole other conversation. So this leads me to my original question. Are rage beats dying? Yes, I think rage beats are dying. I don't really think rage beats have a timeless factor within them, and I think if the majority isn't already tired of listening to them, they will be in the near future. This is mainly referring to beats that sound somewhat copy and pasted, not the new and innovative ones that sound different. There's always room to make something cool from a played out sound. Benny X, for example, is doing an amazing job of this if you listen to Yeat's newest album. Benny X says that he listened to the critics who said everything is sounding the same and aimed to make new stuff that sounds completely different. Good job, Benny X. So let me know what y'all think. Do you guys think rage beats are dying? Do you agree with me? Disagree? Let me know in the comments and keep innovating.